Today you'll see a flying V like you've never seen before. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Alright, so most flying Vs look like this, typically after the 67 style. What happens if you take one of them and you blend it with one of these bad boys, the Les Paul? Have you ever thought about what a flame top flying V with Les Paul standard appointments might look like? Well, my friends, today you are going to find out. But my friends, while I was describing that, would you have ever imagined the finish on this thing would have been blue? I am so happy to see one of these in person. I actually did a Rock or Not episode on one of these a little while ago. It is a Flying V standard with the awesomest color combination that you've ever seen. It's a very dark aqua blue finish. I wish it would have been a little bit brighter, but it has this really awesome flame top to it. Like, it's almost a quilt top too. It's like hard to tell which one should I technically call it. But my favorite thing about this is it's a TV white finish on the back, which just makes it completely unique. Because you still get to see all that awesome wood grain, but you don't feel it. It's still a full-on gloss finish. This is not a satin finish. So it's kind of like that really cool Epiphone Silver Fox finish, but just in a different hue where it's like the TV yellows that Gibson uses. This is a really cool one from 2017. And on top of that, if this all was not enough, this is actually built to 58 historic specs. So you see right here how it has the little bit more broader shoulders. This is exactly like a Korina Flying V that's normally a string through design, except for it's been Les Paulified. So we no longer have a pickguard on this. Most Flying Vs are completely covered in them. We have regular pickup rings, as well as an ABR1 bridge and stop bar tailpiece setup. You've got a toggle switch right here with a poker chip, and look at that, a 2-volume 2-tone layout, just like a Les Paul. Normally, Flying Vs are 3 in a line. You don't have the privilege of having 4 controls. And obviously, if it's trying to be a Les Paul standard, we definitely need some trapezoid inlays. As far as our headstock, no big gaudy Gibson logo like a 50s style one, unfortunately, but we've got like the 80s style Flying V logo, but this time done up in mother of pearl. So needless to say, this thing is just pretty darn cool, but there must be a story behind this, right? Yeah, my friends, the story behind this one is Japan. In the 2017s, there must have been a small dealer run of these for a shop based on a 2017 NAMM show display piece. That's what I featured in this Rock or Not episode. Because you can find a handful of these blue Flying V standards over on the Japanese market that have sold in the past. Sometimes you can find cool ones that have abalone inlays instead of the standard mother of pearl and acrylic. There's at least one out there that has the flame inlays on the fretboard. But if you just like the whole idea of a Les Paul standard and a Flying V getting together, there's also gold top ones out there with the natural back. I'm sure there's a dark back if you look hard enough, but you got your typical cherry sunburst flame, even some natural flame ones. They're out there. But when did Gibson start experimenting with these strange Flying Vs? Now, I'm sure you could find weird custom orders even back into the 90s, but like the first big time is like 2002 when there was that limited edition run of 40 Flying V customs. And then you can start to see some of these standards as soon as the earliest that I could find just doing some basic research around 2010. Maybe they started before that, but I can say for 100% certainty, 2016 marks the big revival. That's when Gibson brought back the Flying V customs. They also brought them back with the Explorer custom, SG custom, Les Paul custom, this whole beautiful photo of all of them together here. And that's when you started to see more custom orders and like NAMM show-off pieces being based on these types of specs. So long story short, these have been out for a while. They're just not all that plentiful, so you might not have ever seen one, but as someone who likes Flying Vs, but I don't love them, something like this really appeals to me. Now, as far as case candy on this bad girl, they actually do call it a Flying V standard. It's got a matching serial number here. You can see the date it was completed, pretty early 2017. It's got all our regular case candy here, but here's our Japanese case candy. So apparently this reads something along the lines of, you need to register this for warranty. Not sure what that is, probably says sale or something, but this is what is important for us. So we can at least know one of the dealers that got this is Kaishindo Music. So I'm not sure if they're the only ones that got these. So to learn more about this one, let's go ahead and throw it on the workbench to take a look at its parts and specs. Inside the Flying V Standard, she cleaned up pretty nicely, and I found a nasty surprise on the inside. Nope, this is not an $8,500 collectible example. It's going to more so be like the mid-fives, because somebody gigged this thing. Do you see what they did here? They put shielding paint in the cavities and added additional grounding tabs. So this must have been professionally gigged, and he needed the thing dead quiet. Now, could you technically remove the shielding paint? Yes, but you're always going to have those screws that they put into the body there. And I'd imagine it has a long neck tenon, but you can see the maple skunk stripe capping off the truss rod right there. So it's technically a non-reversible modification, although in the grand scheme of things, you don't see it. It enhances the greatness of the guitar, so I think that's all okay. It's kind of unfortunate that our cavities have been painted, because now we can't see how thick the maple top is, but it's likely the same thickness as of the binding right here. But anyways, what are we rocking pickup-wise? Got a 57 Classic in the neck and a 57 Classic in the bridge. However, that date is 3/6 of 2015. Now, it's possible that Gibson was using up old pickups. However, we're definitely going to have to look closely at the solder joints in here because it's possible those could have been replaced. As far as our readings go, they should be around 8-ish. So 7.88 in the bridge, neck position 7.88 as well. That's a perfectly matched set. 3.94 just for fun in the middle. But our bridge on here is a traditionally mounted ABR1, and it reads such on the back. And we've got a lightweight aluminum tailpiece. And here's something else you might be seeing. This did start life a brighter blue color. Do you see the tan lines right here? That means this was probably out on stage in the sun a lot, or maybe it was just sitting on a stand on stage or in somebody's house. But this was initially a slightly brighter blue color, and it's faded just a tad. So that kind of makes me like this finish a little bit more. Now our unique control layout. So once again, you got your poker chip, 3-way toggle switch. That's all pretty normal, besides the chip. But this, I'm gonna be honest, it looks pretty cool in the grand scheme of things when they're blending everything. You got the standard inlays, but functionality is not the best. If you're one of those guys that likes to drag your whole finger along it, you're gonna hate this, because here it is compared to a Les Paul layout, and you can see it's just slightly angled. So when you have this on a strap, you're running into the other one. So you have to learn to go at a different angle. And even then, if you've got big fingers, you're not gonna be able to fit in between there. This is definitely a guitar where you have to just grab the top and go. There's a reason most Flying Vs have them in a line. But technically, you have better control. Neck volume, neck tone, bridge volume, bridge tone. And your output jack is located on the front. You know, that's kind of interesting. I think it would have been cool had they had it down there like the 50s ones normally have, or maybe do one of these up string through style. Oh yeah, that'd be good. As far as condition here, you've got a couple of dimples in the top. I'm not quite sure how you get dings here, but you do. You've also got some dings here that became apparent once I polished it up, and a few more throughout if you're looking closely. So definitely more so player's grade, but it's not absolutely trash. Like if you still wanted to buy this and display it, you could. But this is a mahogany body with a maple top, and then we move on to a mahogany neck with a rosewood fretboard. Now didn't those frets just come out fantastic after the polish job? Usually when you get a guitar from Japan, not that I got this one from Japan, I got it secondhand from another dealer, the frets are typically rusty just due to their environment, so these are looking great now. But you've got your 22 medium jumbo style frets, our trapezoid inlay markers here, done up in a pearloid material, and you got a lot of cool wood grain on this rosewood board. I'm kind of surprised they didn't go as crazy as putting like some abalone markers on the side, but it's just your regular black ones. But as far as neck specs, 1.71 at the nut, 2.07 by the 12th, first fret neck depth 0.9, and 1.01 by the 12th. That's definitely a chunky C. Here that is at the first fret and the 12th fret. Stays very consistent in shape, just gets a bit chunkier. But now we have another player's modification here. We have auto-locking tuners. I didn't even realize those things were replaced because they are a perfect footprint as to what this originally came with. And it's even the push and bushing style. I've never seen this exact style of tuner before. It really reminds me of Fender's newest vintage style locking ones. But our truss rod's looking good on this one. And here we can see our mother of pearl Gibson logo. As far as the headstock goes, it's in pretty good shape. You got a little bit of lacquer shrinking around the Gibson logo, but you should be looking for that so you know it's authentic. But there is a little bit of a ding right here up by the tuner. Probably happened during the installation of the new tuners, or the string got it. It's not too noticeable unless you get a flashlight out and start looking for stuff. Now there's some fine finish checking around where the veneer starts on the headstock and like where the binding ends and the neck truly begins. It's kind of hard to photograph, but it is there. Alright, just wait till you see what's underneath here. We've got more shielding. So all this solder work looks pretty good. However, here's what I think happened. I believe the entire thing got rewired, and we do have non-original pickups. I tried to do some research on this, but here's the problem. This guitar has been flipped to so many Japanese shops and eventually ended up in America to the point where most photos that you do find of this guitar is this exact one. But I found a listing that said this one was brand new and it had custom buckers. So let's just go ahead and say all the electronics are replaced. We still have one Gibson branded pot, and the other one are the more historic style, and we've got Bumblebee capacitors in here, and it's all been shielded off. I'm not quite sure what this additional hole is right here, though. It doesn't look like it was added, but who knows. Oh, and the back plate was also shielded off, in case you're wondering. As far as condition, we've got a couple of dings here on the edges. There's a sizable ding right here when you get it in the light. Although with the nature of the finish, I mean, it just looks like it has a million wood grain dings, so it just kind of blends in. Now, one of the shops thought this was a one-piece mahogany body. It might be. I mean, I'm not seeing any obvious seam lines. First, I was thinking, okay, maybe like right here, but I don't think so. Maybe that is just a big old slab of mahogany. Although it wouldn't surprise me if there's a splice somewhere. I mean, that area looks slightly suspicious, but, you know, wood grain just varies. And looking at the end grain helps, but I don't see any anywhere. But I am now seeing quite a large ding at the end of the horn. Looks like down here, the strap kind of rubbed against the finish. We have strap locks installed, and some more dings on the horn down here. So here's something really cool you might not have known. Now you can check out my Korina Flying V collector's edition video if you want to actually see a true Korina spec'd out guitar. But if you look right here, you can actually see that there is a joining of woods right here, but that's just how Korina Vs are created. The body actually extends a little bit onto the neck, and then they just kind of sculpt it away. That's why when you see some finish cracking right here, that's just where the neck is joining the body. And then if you get it in the light just right, you can actually see another line running up right here, because that's the exact same thing. So never be scared if you see that on a historic style Flying V, and some SGs are also crafted the exact same way. That's just par for the course, it's lacquer sinking. Other than that, the rest of the neck is pretty much just par for the course. Nice and chunky. Got our Gibson custom decal. It looks like we might have a little bit of stand rash right here, like you just get a very slight pink hue. Blacklight will tell us some more, but that's on both sides. And here's our serial number, 700-725. As far as blacklight goes, everything's looking good as far as the top. It doesn't look like there's any major sweat absorption areas or anything like that. Can't usually tell too much on the fretboard. Our headstock's looking clean, and it looks like I'm wrong. That's not stand rash on the side. Might just be the color of the mahogany shining through. And I'm not seeing anything out of the ordinary on the back here or on the neck. So everything is solid. All said and done, we've got a fantastic weight on this thing. Do you see that? 6 pounds, 9.4 ounces. That's really light for a supposedly one-piece mahogany body with a little bit of maple thrown on top. Yeah, it does not surprise me that this one ended up in Japan. So the only thing left now is to plug this one in and hear how it sounds. right, so this guitar is one of those love at first strum things. You play it, you feel the entire thing vibrate. It's got that whole resonant thing. And the fact that it's ultra lightweight and you've got strap locks on it, it makes it a joy to stand up and play with. However, I'm not really loving these tuners. They're pretty finicky. That neck pickup is nice and thick. Bridge is attacking. In the middle is a nice combination of the both. But now let's click on some dirt. I've just been really loving 57 classics lately. That was the same thing that was in the Les Paul 25 that we reviewed a couple of nights ago. That, with the Marshall Blues Breaker that I'm running through, with the Red Rocks pedal, it's just awesome. I love it. Now that we know all about this sweet Flying V standard, what are my final thoughts on this? I really enjoyed this guitar. Maybe this one's just particularly special because it's got the whole resonance thing going on, but I fully understand why somebody decided to shield out all the cavities and gig this thing. I mean, it looks mint condition at first glance, but then when you get the light on it, you see all the light nicks and dings that have happened, and obviously the dings on the side that we were talking about earlier, but it's still in very respectable condition. But I actually really enjoyed this whole larger style Flying V mixed with the whole Les Paul specs. I mean, this thing works perfectly. So I would suggest checking one of these things out if you liked what you heard today. Now, unfortunately, most of the other ones you're gonna find probably have the custom buckers, if we can believe the internet anyways, but hey, 57 classics are nothing to sneeze at. I love those pickups. So, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. If you're interested in being the next owner of this one, you can check it out on Reverb and or my website, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode of A Strange Flying V, what about this one from 1981? Did it leave the factory looking like this or not? Find out in this episode.